Hi, I'm Bethany, and that's Drew.
And today we are in the hills of Santa Clarita.
It's an area covered with beautiful mountains, rocks, and the remains of a historic event.
An event which occurred almost 90 years ago and is now known as one of the greatest tragedies in California history.
Join us as we search for the ruins of the St. Francis Dam.
Coming up on Oddity Odysseys.
I'm guessing you're going to use this day to see how many times you can say dam.
Oh, you are guessing correctly. You know, for a structure that was once 200 feet tall, I'm not really seeing any resemblance of former structure.
You can't find structure? Is that what you're saying?
So where do we start?
We'll start in Santa Clarita by taking the 5 freeway to the McBean Parkway exit. Following that northeast about 6 miles will bring us to a dead end at Copper Hill Drive. We'll turn right and then left onto San Francisco Canyon Road. After that, we're not entirely sure where exactly the ruins are located. Hopefully we'll know them when we see them.
That could be something.
That's just a rock.
Well, what's it supposed to look like? Oh, nuts. I don't see any concrete, do you?
Is that the end of the episode? Turns out the ruins of the St. Francis Dam are not as easy to spot as one would think. So we decided to regroup and research at the Los Angeles Central Library. After sifting through numerous maps, newspaper clippings, and books,
I was just looking at this. Look at this.
we came across the name of Alan Pollack, president of the Santa Clarita Historical Society. We contacted him and he offered to give us a tour of the site with fellow expert and executive director of the Community Hiking Club, Dianne Erskine-Hellrigel. Is this the way that we took last time?
Yeah. This is the Dam Canyon. We're going up to the dam.
That's great. So we have 2 special guests.
Our dam experts.
That are going to give us a tour. We are actually following them right now to the location.
Oh, we lost them.
No, we're not going to be able to find it.
Oh, there they are.
But if you don't have people to follow on the way, it can be a little bit hard to find.
Right.
But we weren't too far off the first time around. Follow San Francisco Canyon Road about 7.5 miles until you see a gravel road on the right blocked off by several concrete barriers. This is what remains of old San Francisco Canyon Road, and if you park here, you can follow the old road directly to the dam site.
Today we have 2 very special guests, Alan and Dianne. They are our St. Francis Dam renowned historians.
The story of the St. Francis Dam, to me, is really the story of Los Angeles itself. It's the story of the water history that allowed Los Angeles to grow from a little town of 100,000 people to the major megalopolis that we have today. There are 10 million people. And the reason for that is William Mulholland, who is really the greatest historic figure in Los Angeles history, but whose story is that of a rise and fall Shakespearean tragedy. A lot of people in the world know Mulholland Drive or whatever, but they don't really know the story behind this man. And that's really what has brought us here today.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go into that a little bit more later. And Dianne said there's something
Yeah,
that
there's
we're gonna
something
try to
right around
find.
the corner. Let's take a peek at this.
All right, we're going to check it out.
Cool. So we're going to go up to some sort of overlook.
I think so. Yeah, I think this should thing.
So what is this vista? Where have you brought us now?
We have brought you to the lower part of the floodplain, just below where the dam is.
Okay.
And as you can see right there, you see a big pyramid-shaped rock.
I do. Is that part of the dam?
That is the largest part that came down in one piece. It's about 15 tons and it's called the pyramid.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But if you can see that flat area up there, the dam was behind that.
Oh, got
So
it.
this piece had to come down where the road is down there,
Yeah.
and then swirl around over here. So if you can imagine the power of the water.
Yeah, the amount of
You know,
water that it
was
took
between
to move
140 and 180 feet that came out of the dam. So it was an amazing, amazing feat.
that. From the overlook, Alan and Dianne led us down the old abandoned San Francisco Canyon Road to what remains of the dam's original foundation. So we've kind of arrived at the location of the dam, correct?
Right. Yes.
And I think I'm seeing part of it up there with the different colored rock.
Right.
There. So what are we looking
On
at?
the right-hand side, what you're seeing is the cement that's
Okay.
left over from the Western Wing Dike.
Okay.
To the left of that is red Sespe conglomerate,
Okay.
and that's laid down with layers of sand and rock and sand and rock. And while it could look fairly stable, if you expose it to water, it crumbles. It just falls apart.
Right.
And that's why this side of the dam failed itself.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Where was the initial failure? Like, was it the west side or further to east?
It was on the eastern side, and he'll tell you about that.
There's been a lot of controversy over that over the years, but the consensus is that it started on the eastern abutment, which is across from us here.
Yeah, so let's walk over there and we'll show you the other side.
The St. Francis Dam began with hope when William Mulholland was assigned the job to oversee the project, which would provide citizens with years of reassurance that water would not be scarce.
So what was it that caused such a bold and magnificent in appearance structure to fail? We heard several reasons as to what could have gone wrong.
All right, so we had to hike a little bit, but we made it. And
Speak for yourself.
We kind of made it. We're recuperating. We lost Dianne somewhere. So Alan, what can you tell me about where we're standing right now?
All right, so we've climbed up a hill to an overlook. If you look across the canyon here, you see the remains of what's called an ancient Paleolithic landslide. It's made up of Polonischist rock. And when William Mulholland built this dam, which started in 1924, he was first going to build the dam in Big Tahunga Canyon. But the landowners there got wind of the dam being built and they jacked up their land prices to sell to him, so he decided to build it here. One of the big mistakes with building this dam was they decided in order to get more water capacity in this reservoir, they raised the dam first by 10 feet and then by another 10 feet without widening the base of the dam, which was a big mistake because that destabilized how the water pressure was pushing against the dam. And this wing dike is here because of that extra 20 feet that they raised in order to have that extra water capacity. On March 12, 1928, 1 week after the dam was completely filled up, this eastern abutment of the dam gave way, and that started the whole chain of events that caused the dam break.
It was 3 minutes to midnight when the dam burst. It took only 40 minutes for the 12.4 billion gallons of water to rush out in a 10-foot high wave and crush, destroy, and claim everything in its path.
Western Wing Dike was in perfect condition when the dam failed. You could still walk along it and come right to the edge. And to try to get rid of interest in the dam at the time, they just jackhammered it all out.
So when you're driving by, you almost can't tell.
No, you can't tell. It just looks like rocks up here. There's still remnants of the pipes that used to be the walkway, or the barrier on the walkway. And you can identify what was the top by the flat pieces. Like you can see that flat piece over there, and that's flat right there.
Right.
And that was where people walked.
So we are here at the foundation of what used to be the St. Francis Dam, and I hear there was something called a tombstone. What is that? Or what was it, I guess I should ask.
Well, because of the way the dam was built, the only part that was built fairly correct was the very middle part. And that was the only part, which you see there, which actually survived the collapse of the dam, which they eventually called the tombstone.
Because it looked like a tomb.
It looked like a tomb, yeah.
Oh, that's the name comes from.
And that actually, after the dam break, became rather a big tourist attraction.
I noticed that it's not here anymore, so what happened to it?
About a year later, after the dam break, there were two little boys playing on it. As you can see from this photo, there's steps going up. And so,
Are those these steps behind us?
Yes, these steps right there.
Perfect.
And so one of the little kids was up at the top of the tombstone up here, and the other kid on his way up saw a snake. He picked the snake up and he threatened the kid and waved it in the air, and then he threw it at the kid. And the other kid got scared, backed up, and fell off the dam and was killed.
Oh, wow.
And so then the Bureau of Waterworks and Supply blew it up, and that was their excuse to get rid of the
And that was one of the only remaining pieces that size.
Exactly. Okay. But there's so many other stories. So here we are standing in front of this village that the Bureau of Waterworks of Los Angeles initially made for the people that worked on the aqueduct and the powerhouse. This village was right in the path of the St. Francis Dam when it broke. So when it broke, it just annihilated almost everybody that was here. Little Johnny Traxler was a 6-year-old boy. He absolutely was in love with the idea of being a cowboy. So his parents bought him a cowboy hat, chaps, and a little pop gun, and he'd go around pop gunning everybody he saw. And as a 6-year-old child, he had absolutely no chance when the water hit. He drowned and was carried downstream. They did find him, and they found his cowboy hat, and he was buried with his cowboy hat. The Curtis children lived here with their parents, Lyman and Lillian. And Lyman had seen the dam the night before, and he'd seen the large leaks, and he was really concerned. So
There was muddy water coming through it, I
Yeah,
heard?
there was muddy water, and that's a bad sign.
Right.
Van Norman and Mulholland came to look at the dam because Tony Harnischviger, who is the dam keeper, had seen this muddy water, and he was really concerned. And so he came to look at it, and since the San Francisco Road had just been put in, he said, nah, don't worry, it's just, you know, mud from the road, nothing to be concerned about.
When you see muddy water coming out from under the foundation, it might be a sign of erosion of the foundation, as opposed to clear water that they wouldn't worry about all that.
Right.
Yeah. And he misread it, and had he realized what it was, he could have warned people and saved all those lives.
So Alan and Dianne, you've shared a lot of stories today, a lot of history about what happened in this place, and I heard it was quite a big number of people died that night.
Well over 400. It's, I think, somewhere between 425 and 431.
Some of which are still unknown.
And some of them are unnamed, yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Well, two very important names today we learned were Alan and Dianne. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
On March 12, 1928, over 400 lives were lost. Some blamed the land, some blamed the man. But with the tragedy weighing so heavily on his own shoulders, William Mulholland lived the rest of his life in seclusion.
He once stated, "Don't blame anyone else. You just fasten it on me. If there was any error in human judgment, I was the human. On an occasion like this, I envy the dead."
As it turns out, sometimes getting lost can lead to better directions than you expected.
That's very true. We want to send a special thank you to Alan and Dianne for coming out here with us today and sharing their passion and knowledge.
They are currently working on a way to help us all remember those who lost their life with the St. Francis Dam Disaster National Memorial Act.
So if you get a second, visit scvhistory.com and find out if there's a way that you can help make this memorial happen. Also, if you want to see some extended interviews from today's adventure, visit oddityodyseys.com.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Oddity Odysseys.
You know what's funny is it hasn't been windy up here all week, supposedly. Just today, for us.
Oh, of course.
Did you say of course, or did you say curse?
Of course.
Because either way, you're correct.